For the last few weeks, we have been handling the subject on I am struggling to get pregnant. Just in case you have not watched the videos before this video, please go ahead and do that. We have part 1 and part 2. Today we are taking a different direction and focusing more on diet and fertility and asking ourselves the question, is there a correlation between the two? I know there are quite a number of videos out there on Google, on YouTube, just trying to address this specific subject. And with us, we have Dr. Wahome Ngare. He is a renowned gynecologist in the country and a speaker on matters to do with health. He is married and blessed with children, currently in full-time private practice at Mercy Medical Center, situated at Cardinal Otunga Building at the heart of CBD here in Nairobi. Well, welcome, Dr. Wahome Ngare.
Thank you very much.
Now, tell us.
Yes.
Nutrition, diet, fertility, or pregnancy. Is there a connection?
It's a good question. The thing is that it is connected, but not directly to fertility.
Okay.
I think what we need to do is understand that we need to eat healthy, regardless of whether we are trying to get pregnant or not. And there are a lot of stories that have been said about diet. And there's also a lot of misinformation that is based on interests. So the only time our diet may become necessary in as far as fertility is concerned is where we have certain hormonal conditions.
Okay.
So if we have a woman who is obese, a woman who is very big, and she has irregular cycles, sometimes they would develop a condition called insulin resistance, and the insulin levels go up, and this can interfere with ovulation. And such women would benefit just from weight loss, just plain weight loss, a diet that would allow them to reduce on their carbohydrates, reduce on refined sugars, basically lose some weight, may just be what they need for their hormones to balance and for them to start getting regular cycles. We have other psychological conditions like what is called anorexia nervosa. Somebody is so worried about their body image and is pathologically scared of growing fat.
Wow. And
they restrict their eating. Sometimes they force vomiting to make sure they don't grow fat. And they remain abnormally lean. To a point, again, they stress their body so much that they don't get cycles, they don't get ovulation, and that can cause then infertility. So in that kind of, in those extremes, then diet may be necessary for them to understand. But if you are a healthy person, a healthy male, healthy female, eating a regular balanced diet, you don't need to worry about that having any relation with fertility.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. So in other words, what I'm hearing from you is that when you eat and you consume a healthy, balanced meal, it will improve or it will definitely have an impact with fertility. But you can't come forth and say that when you eat these specific foods,
yes, there is
it will lead to this.
Yes, so there is that notion. I've heard stories like men telling me that they were advised to eat peanuts. It helps with improving sperm count. There are some herbs that are sold on the road that are supposed to enhance male performance. You know, there are a lot of issues, but fertility really is not about how agile you are.
Yes.
Is whether you have the seed that is necessary to procure a pregnancy and whether the woman has her ovulation to get an egg. So I think we need to encourage Kenyans to just eat right for their general well-being, because if they are generally healthy, then their reproductive health would also be healthy.
Okay.
And when we talk about a balanced diet, really we are saying there should be some protein, there should be some vegetables, and some starch, that it is nice to have a fruit. See, you don't have to have a full bowl of fruits the way we eat when we go on holiday.
Yes.
You can share that big banana 2 people.
Yes.
You can share a mango 2 people. So that, and you just eat the fruits that are in season. You don't if it's mangoes that are available, we eat mangoes, because they will all have the little nutrients that we need. So refined sugars, the sugars that we are using, the sugars that are in our sodas, the sugars that are sometimes being used to bake our foods, can be very detrimental to our health. So wholesome foods, people in Nairobi here would prefer to buy the packet unga. But a lot of stuff has been removed to make other products in the process of making the maize. They remove some things to make animal feeds, to make this. But if you just had your unga, ile imesiagwa tu kutoka kwa mahindi,
yes,
that's wholesome. It has everything that it needs. So here we are fortunate in Africa that our foods, not many foods would be refined or processed. This thing about children eating fast foods, the KFC and all those burgers and stuff, the pizzas, parents need to understand that this need to be just once in a while. In my house, we call them poison.
Wow.
We are going to eat poison, so it's maybe
once in a while.
Just once in a while. It's not something that you can live on.
Yes.
Sodas are very, very, very destructive.
I agree.
They have refined sugars. They have very high quantities of sugars, abnormal levels of sugars. They're not healthy stuff to take. So it is a wholesome diet. If you can get your wholesome meal without processing, even better. Leafy green vegetables.
Yes.
Just your sukuma wiki and the spinach and other things, the managos, those things that some people don't consider food because they grow wild.
Yeah, we call them weeds.
Yes, are very nutritious. So if you have a bit of that in your food every day, it is nice to have some herbs, ginger, and you have things like lemongrass. You can have those teas that are made from some medicinal plants like artemisia. It is just little things that generally will keep you healthy because your body has what it needs from your general diet.
Yes.
That is what we should be more focused on.
Yes.
A mother and a husband and a father who eat well are likely to bring up healthier children. If they eat poorly, they are likely to train their children to eat poorly. One of the biggest problems we are struggling with is now obesity is coming up.
Yes.
And it is important for parents to know that obesity is caused by parents. It is not
again.
Yes. It is not the child. It is not the child. What happens is that when a child is growing fat, so this is not breast milk, is not the first 1 year of life. The child has gone on the adult diet maybe from 2 years.
Yes.
And they are being given a lot of sugary foods, a lot of starch food, a lot of fats, and they basically can grow very big. The problem is that when your weight increases as a child, it is the number of fat cells in the body that multiply. If you put on weight as an adult, it is those fat cells that fill up. So you can imagine a child who has been given the wrong diet and is obese as a child. By the time they grow up and become an adult and all those fat cells fill up, then they have a big, big, big problem trying to reduce that weight.
Wow.
So you'll find somebody who was lean as a child starts eating poorly as an adult and he becomes obese and they are put on a diet, they can quickly lose that weight.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody who was already very big by the time they were 9 years, 10 years of age, if they put on weight as an adult, then it's very hard for them to cut down that weight.
Mm-hmm.
So this story of fat children are very healthy. We need to revisit.
Yeah, we have a saying in Kikuyu, we say a good child is the one who eats, and you can always tell when they're saying that the child looks big, and they say, this is a good child.
Yes, so a lean child who is eating a nice balanced diet, who doesn't put too much weight, will have it easy as an adult.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when it comes to fertility and diet, is really women who have hormonal issues, and for that reason they are not ovulating. If those are related with insulin resistance, then diet is part of the treatment and weight loss to allow for ovulation to happen.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had cases of just as you've pointed out, people who simply addressed what you've highlighted. People being intentional on reducing carbohydrates. And it's, I don't know what's happening, but I'm just thinking off the cuff, could this be one of the reasons why also struggles with pregnancy are there today? Because somehow the food industry and what we are consuming has been evolving and changing over decades, where we are finding what is on our plates, 3/4, or you would say even 90% is actually carbohydrates and starch, and denying ourselves vegetables and proteins. Nowadays, I'm a bit more conscious. When I walk into a restaurant, and you can tell even with the restaurant, you walk in and request for a plate, they bring you something very small, and at times it's a very pricey place, a very pricey plate there, but very small bit of, vegetables and meat, but the rest of the plate is carbohydrates. But I think that point is clear. That I think it's important for us just to find ways of, can we reduce the carbohydrates? If possible, totally and completely eliminate refined and processed foods and stick to the wholesome, natural foods as much as possible.
Yes, and the other thing that is important to understand about the refined sugars and starches is that even when people are struggling with cholesterol and all those things, before it used to be said that it is the cholesterol you're eating in food. So people would be told, don't eat eggs, don't eat animal products, don't eat red meat, so that you reduce the cholesterol you're eating. But it is now clear that it is the cholesterol your body makes when you take too much starch and too much sugar that is actually killing you. So there is nothing wrong with your body. It is just responding to what you're feeding it with.
Okay.
So that story of reducing starch and eliminating sugar and refined sugars, no sodas for the children. It is even better that you take a fruit and cut it into some water, or make you juice it.
Yes.
Add some water so that they take something that is healthy and sweet. If you need to sweeten it, then maybe a bit of honey, something. But I think it is, we just need to focus on the, reducing starch. That's what is killing us. There is something else that is important. As we go into mass food production, I think the government should focus on helping small-scale farmers produce our food as opposed to large-scale farmers, because the larger you get, the higher the temptation to use pesticides.
Yes.
And there are some pesticides that are very destructive that we are using in this country that are banned in Europe and in America. And when you come to the city here and all your food is coming from, you buy it from the market, you are not growing it in your backyard, then it is possible for you to end up with food that is not very healthy. So use of pesticides and large-scale production of food can be detrimental if the government doesn't come hard and make sure that the pesticides that are used are actually safe, or even better, go into organic farming. Yes.
Awesome. And I, for one, I I'm keen on eating organic foods. And just as you said, I think a lot is happening out here, and small wonder then we are having these struggles.
Yes.
And infertility being one of them. That the food industry has really changed and evolved. There's one doctor I love to follow online, and he keeps on reiterating, let's keep science out of the food. Keep science out of the food. Let's have it as natural as it is. Keep science out of it, because I mean it's taking us down a path that is doing more harm than good. Well, economically, money-wise, it can bring in more returns and more income. But on the other hand, it is causing harm and taking us a path we've never been before.
Sometimes, if you just look back and Google ownership of some of these companies, and especially the large multinational companies under BlackRock and other investment organizations.
Yes.
It's a very interesting place to go. You find that the fellows who are producing the pesticide Roundup that is causing problems, and the company that is producing this, you find a sister company that is producing drugs on the other side. Yeah. And you go and you find the fellows who are producing contraceptives on the other side, pushing for the abortion agenda. And very interesting stuff. So that when our focus is money, the evil is inevitable.
I agree.
Evil is inevitable. So people must be conscious of these things and just make informed personal decisions.
Yes, and now that we are on this topic and the aspect of diet, lifestyle choices, environmental factors, does it also contribute to the element of fertility?
Yes, lifestyle. There are some lifestyles that can be an issue. When we have people who abuse drugs, people who abuse alcohol, smoking, those can affect male fertility. It can even affect potence, the capacity to have sex. So those can be issues. Environmental would probably be what we were discussing about, what is in our food, what is in the water. There are some very strange studies out there. Sometimes you find the women who are on contraceptives, and when they pass urine, these drugs come out of them still active. And sometimes the water treatment plants are not able to remove them, and they find their way into the waterways. And now you have fish that have been affected by women contraceptives. So
the fish don't give birth. Or what happens?
Then you eat the fish.
You eat the fish.
We have to be very careful with some of these things, and how our environment is affecting them. We have pollutants. Some companies that are putting waste product into our riverways, into the sea. We have mercury and we have lead finding its way into the rivers. This will find its way into fish. Again, we'll consume this fish. Plants that are watered with this stuff. There was a time lead was a big issue. Remember before they removed lead from petrol?
Yes.
You'd have a car with leaded petrol, and it is burning this petrol, but the lead remains active. It finds its way on vegetables, and those are brought to your table. And we have, so yes, environment can also affect us. So we need to see our lives in a global way to understand that we may be looking at very good food that we have gotten from the supermarket, but we need to know that somebody took care to make sure that food is good for our consumption. We've had scares in the country where you're told sugar has come in, It has been imported. It has copper. It has mercury. It is not fit for consumption. We have been told oil has been brought in, again is been certified as not fit for consumption. Then it is certified fit. Then the sugar disappeared from where it had been stored. I think there is a lot of work that needs to be done because what is on our plate may not be what we are seeing.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that scares me at times is when you hear somebody saying, eat what is available or eat what has been laid on the table, I find it quite unfortunate just hearing from what you're saying. And these are the realities that we are facing with. In fact, one wonders, where are we going to be in the next 50 years or 100 years to come, But I sense then there's a need for persons to be intentional, for families
I think
to be intentional.
That's where the solution is. It is the family. So remember, for instance, in the olden days, it is men who used to sit and decide whether we are going to move the village or not. Okay? And you'd send scouts. And the thing the scout was supposed to look for is a source of water. They were supposed to make sure there is arable land and also grazing land. And when the information came back, then a bigger group would be sent to go and investigate. So it was the business of families to make sure that the food and the water is available and it is healthy. Now, when we come into the cities and we leave that to government, then we give them a very big responsibility. And the corruption is easy to happen when it is one person dealing with issues like this. So as families, I think we need to come together, probably through the churches, and be very intentional on saying we want to know where our food comes from, we want to know where our water comes from, we want to know whether it is treated or managed, because if we don't do that, then we cannot be very sure what it is we are giving our children. The issue about pesticides and what is being used in food, if there are products that are banned in Europe, why are we using them here? So these questions need to be raised. And we can only raise them if we are intentional as families first, then come together as communities through the church or religious organizations. And I'll tell you the last part of this chain is we must be very, very careful who we put in leadership, right from MCA, MP to governor and to the president. Because we have seen what it means to have leadership that is not responsive and leadership that is not responsible or that doesn't care about the people. Yes, so who we put in elections as we go towards 2027 must be a family discussion. If I was to pass away today, would I be able to leave this president? Would I be able to leave this governor? Would I be able to leave this MP and this MCA to take care of my family? That should be the question we should be asking.
Good question.
Yes. If the government sends us to war and we may not come back, are we sure these people in leadership will look after our wives and children? If your wife and your husband is going to be sent to war by the government, are you sure this government is this person you're putting in power is going to care? Because if we don't start that conversation at the family level, we shall be manipulated with money. We shall always get the same monkeys. Life will not change.
It won't change at all. You just reminded me where one of our leaders sadly mentioned that death will eventually come to us all, And I said, if it is a statement that can come from a leader, then it speaks a lot of volumes, to the point that at times you can pursue other interests at the expense of what's happening and the repercussions.
If you think that, just for instance, if a bill has been taken to Parliament that says farmers cannot sell their milk raw at their gate, is supposed to reduce the risk of infection infection transmitted, or the milk getting bad.
Mm-hmm.
And this bill is passed at a time when Brookside is buying off all the other dairies. And you think it is progressive for the country.
Mm-hmm.
It is, people need to be careful.
Yes.
If it was farmers' cooperatives that we are encouraging, so that the small-scale farmer has a cooperative that will bring benefit to him directly,
Yes.
even if the milk is processed,
Mm-hmm.
then that is fine. But when you put in a law that creates an uneven playing ground.
Mm-hmm.
Another one that was very interesting was that you cannot, there was a time they were discussing how you can't use manure on your farm, animal manure, that you must use certified fertilizer. And you can see people creating businesses for others.
Yes.
Then another one comes and says,
And they're passing it as a law.
yes, another one comes and says you cannot plant uncertified seed. It sounds very nice, but it means that if your mother gave you seed and you have been perpetually planting this and getting seed from your own garden,
Uh-huh.
keeping some to plant in the next season, now you're not allowed to do that.
And certified seed.
Uncertified seed. So there is somebody who is going to produce seed for you.
Mm-hmm. And they've packaged it.
They've packaged
at a
it.
fee.
And it is GMO seed. And you plant it once, you can't plant it again. There is a lot of stuff that needs to be sorted out when we are talking about diet.
Mm-hmm.
That is way beyond us as individuals.
Yes.
But unless we discuss it like this,
Yes.
and go back to our families and say it is important we know what we are eating,
Yes.
and where it is coming from and how it was produced,
Mm-hmm.
and we are going to put our money in organic farming.
Yes.
We will be buying, it will be more expensive, but we'll buy from the organic farmer.
Mm-hmm.
Or we'll encourage people to have little gardens where they can plant their own food.
Yes.
The idea is we need to find solutions
Mm-hmm.
that would allow us to have quality food.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well said. Well
Yeah,
said,
yeah,
Dr. Wahome Ngare.
Mm.
And there you have it.
Mm.
Be keen on what you're consuming, how it was produced, where it was produced, what did they do in the process of its production, and just, the whole makeup, ensuring that you're having whole food, sticking away and just shying away from processed, refined foods. If you can reduce on carbs, very important. I also tend to believe, in fact, earlier on we were sharing and saying how I know of a lady who began fasting, and she decided to go for a prolonged fast. And lo and behold, she conceived.
Yes.
So I believe in prayer. I believe in trusting in God. But I sat and I listened to that story, and I said, there is a correlation there.
Yes.
As you said, if there are other underlying factors and issues at play in a lady's body or in that man's body, if those aspects are addressed just for the general health and well-being of a person, then it puts you at a good place where you can actually be able to be fertile, both as a man and also as a woman.
Yes.
Yeah. Words of wisdom. Words of wisdom. And as always, feel free to share this video, to like, to comment, to follow us on whichever platform you're watching us from. And just in case you have a question, would like to encourage you again, feel free to ask the question, and we will indeed be able to respond to the same. Please look forward to next week, because we hope to have a live Q&A, a live question and answer session, where again you can be able to ask your questions live. So please be on the lookout, and we should be letting you know about the same. And Dr. Wahome Ngare, as you've just heard, he is a practicing gynecologist and running his clinic together with other associates. The name of the hospital is called Mercy Medical Center, situated at Cardinal Otunga, right at the heart of CBD. Right at the description, we will also be able to highlight his number, his mobile number, and how you can be able to access in case you need any form of treatment or consultation on matters pertaining to infertility as a couple. Earlier on, we've been saying it's not an individual's problem, which is very sad in our society. Most times, or more often than not, it's branded as an issue with the ladies or the women or the wives. It is a challenge with the couple, not an individual. We rightfully communicated that in our previous videos, which you may as well just go and watch part 1 and part 2. And we hope and we pray that you will stay healthy, keep healthy, and we believe that when we play our part and we continue trusting in God, believing in God, the Lord will grant us the fruit of the womb. Children are a gift from Him. We can trust the Lord for that. But we also mentioned in our previous videos, there are situations which might be a bit extreme in terms of the sperms on the side of the man. We can still trust in God, but at the same time, remember, the calling is also to be a parent. And you may as well also parent children who are not from your own body, because again, even the ones who come from our own bodies, we did mention that last time, we don't own them. They have one owner, and that is God. We are managers, we are stewards, and it's truly a blessing to be there. Any parting shot, Dr. Wahome?
Yes, just let us focus on our general well-being, that we ourselves are healthy, we are eating healthy. Let us teach this to our children, and then let us be intentional in the leadership we put in the country so that we can secure our food even from the national level.
Awesome. Thank you so much, and well said. God bless you, and see you next time.